Hey, I am growing old. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. And today I'm going to be doing an album review on the new Genesis Owusu album, Struggler. So, Genesis Owusu is an Australian artist, singer, songwriter. 2 years ago, he released Smiling with No Teeth, which is one of the best albums of that year. He successfully blends everything from neo soul to funk to post punk to pop to rap music, fuses them all together to create a collection of absolutely amazing tracks, one of the highlights of the year. He has returned with Struggler, which has a much more abstract, expressionist album cover, and musically, he goes full post punk, at least for most of the tracks on this album, which is really cool because he is really finding a sound, pinpointing a specific genre, which makes his album so much more tightly structured and unique. On top of that, the concept of Struggler is essentially struggling, of course. And it's about the main character who is a roach and people trying to stop him, smash him down, and feelings of being powerless. So it's a pretty interesting concept nonetheless. Now we have the tracks itself. I don't think musically this album is that great or anything, but I think the concept of this album really carried the music. The album opener, Leaving the Light, is a post-punk infused rap track with video game-esque synths. It's really electrifying, really speedy. We get some eccentric vocal performances and a really great tone setter for the rest of the album. Then we have The Roach, which is much more gothic of a track. We have some dark, moody synths and some steady beats. Lyrically, he sings about survival, and it also gets really Kafkaesque, as the main character is kind of like the main character in Metamorphosis. Following that, we have The Old Man, which is similar to the last track. We have some added themes of paranoia on this track, which I really like. And the track See Ya There is a smooth soul track with some really sweet vocal performances, summery guitars, and keyboards. Following that, we have Freak Boy, which I think is one of the highlights on the album, one of my favorite tracks. It has really catchy beats and bass. The drums are really punky. This track also comes off very playful and fun. I feel like I'm in a video game myself, fighting for my life. There are also tons of echoey effects on this track, and Genesis Owusu's very focused and tight performances really carry the music on this track. Following that, we have Tied Up, which is a funky rock track with bouncy beats and hand claps. Musically, I don't think it's that great, but it's still a very unique instrumental palette. And then we have That's a Life, a Swamp, which is a playful, funky track with cowbells and crispy guitars. Very much sounds like a Talking Heads track, but even though the first bit of this track sounds great, the track does drag on a little bit and gets a little one note. Then we have Baltazar, which is just freaking awesome. This is a goth rock track with amazing hooks. The hooks on this track sounds like Genesis is howling like a wolf, which makes this track one of the moodiest of the whole album. And the track Stay Blessed is as post-punk as it can get, with the rapid drums and the really raw vocals. I also like the quiet breakdown near the end of the track. The next track is What Comes Will Come, which is kind of like a Gorillaz track. It's like he made a Gorillaz track. For a moment, he really turns into Damon Albarn. And then we have the break beats near the end of the track, to follow the trend. But overall, I feel like structurally the track is a little basic. Finally, the album ends off with Stuck to the Fan, with the stripped back skeletal keyboards, some very light, subtle drums, and it's a very low-key ending to the album, and I think it's a very appropriate ending to the album, because after all the struggling and fighting and powerlessness, I guess the main character of this album has finally found that he needs to accept that this is his life now, and it's kind of a moment of peace and acceptance. That's just a really nice and thought-provoking way to end off the concept that is this album. So yeah, overall this is a really solid album. Musically, I wouldn't say it's that great, but conceptually it's really good. And there are definitely some highlights on the album. And I also love post-punk. I'm a sucker for post-punk, and to see him fuse post-punk with goth rock, with a bit of soul, a bit of hip-hop, is just really creative, really flavorful, and I'm giving this album a strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. So, have you listened to the new Genesis Owusu album? Comments below, let me know if you want more, and thanks for watching.